All right, it's time. We've been on the road for a long time. We're at episode 5. We're about to get into it. I kind of just said this for the promo, but I'm interested because there's a lot more people that are going to be jumping in now.
Yeah.
And so, like, they're going to be going through all of our past conversations that we've forgotten about and ending up right here.
And they won't have the gestation periods we've had between.
Right.
They're just going to full throttle.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to digest, but we're about to do it right now.
Spoiler mode, final warning, spoiler mode, activated.
Okay. We're at the end. I've got some questions that I want to get to for sure. But yeah, just where are we sitting? How are we feeling? It's at least for where I ended up. Like, I don't feel like the sense of tragedy, the sense of craziness as the first game, but there's still a sense of loss or sadness for some reason, just because we're at the end.
And it depends on what ending we got.
Yeah.
As well.
Of 7.
7
There's
endings.
7
7
endings.
endings, yeah.
Interesting.
And some a little bit more, depending on how moral your choices were. That's definitely reflected in those endings.
So maybe we should just figure out where each other are at.
Yeah.
Open at the close.
Open at the close. So for me, I had a hard time at the end, like the choice at the end.
So intense.
Like, just like one of those, like, all right, I'm gonna stop and look at this for a long time.
Me too.
Were you guys there, or did you have an instant like, yeah, I'm doing this?
I decided to go with the more video game choice. I wanted to go with the more spectacle-driven choice because
Okay.
I thought this has no real repercussions in my life. Even though I'm so emotionally invested in these characters, I did want to just see what the big like fireworks ending would be. So that's what I went with.
Nice.
But
Yeah, I've seen Thelma and Louise and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, so I thankfully stood down. I backed down.
Yeah.
you didn't go for the border?
I didn't go for it because I've seen those movies, and there was a moment right before then when Daniel says, "Please don't make me hurt anyone else."
Yeah.
That was it. That one line, I was done. 100% done. That the road is over. Like when he slams I slammed the locker against the cops to bust out.
Yeah.
He says something about, "I don't want to hurt anyone anymore," and yeah, I pretty much
And
made up.
apparently
I
there
made
was
up my mind.
another
Then.
choice there that I didn't see. The ending.
You can like lock the cops
Lock
there
them in
in
a
the prison.
closet.
That's what I did. There's
didn't
a,
see
How'd you
that
do
option.
that?
So I just kept targeting all of the distractions that were behind them. So
Okay,
I
I
forget
think
what
I
they
missed
were.
the chair. Like, it was an
Yeah,
option and then it wasn't an
there was a
option.
chair, there was something else. So I just, instead of aiming for them at all, I just kept hitting everything that was behind them to distract them until it got to the point where it let me target the door that was beside them, or the room, and Daniel tosses them into the room and then locks the door behind them.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so that was, because I didn't harm anyone in that prison escape. Did either of you?
Those cops, I slammed the locker into them.
Yeah.
Thought I killed them.
Oh.
Thankfully, they were just knocked out. But I was like, whoa.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing for me is, like, I wasn't trying to hurt them. I was just like, let's just, whatever the locker's going to do, just along with the other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was similar to you, to where when I got to the end, I surrendered.
It felt horrible. You were talking about the video game of it, right? And to play a game for an entire year and to be so invested in these two people getting to safety, it was a horrible decision to have to choose, but it just felt natural for me in that moment. So I did pick it, but to go back to you about the big fireworks video game ending, like, it didn't feel good having to surrender.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like a really integral, interesting moment.
Yeah, I think for me it was like, it was one of those things where it's like, like, this is like we've been through all this other stuff. Like, why stop now?
Yeah.
But at the same time, and again, I don't know whether this is different for you guys. That conversation with David affected me, and it was like, it's like you can't, have your whole life be on the run. Like, you've got to.
There's no way to live.
Yeah, it's no way
Yeah.
to live.
Totally.
Like you've got to,
Yeah.
be there for what's going to be. Oh, and I think the cop
The
too was
interrogation.
Oh.
when the cop told you
Yes.
that, like, hey, Daniel's not going to get hurt by this. He's
That
not going to
too.
get busted.
Yep.
Then it's like, okay, because my thinking was, yeah, I could try to bust through all this stuff, but there's all these guns and like
Someone's
just
dying.
got shot. I don't want to risk it
Yeah.
when there is a way that maybe
Yeah.
this can end better.
I won't reveal exactly what happened to me until we get to that. I'll
Yeah,
let
yeah,
be a little tease.
Because my ending was like, I know I'm really a hyperbolic person, but my ending was one of my favorite endings in all of video games for this game. I'm not.
Well,
even
it's
kidding.
gotta be.
I'm not even kidding around. Yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. It's like, we were talking about people like catching up now and playing all 5 in a row, and I think my ending and maybe you're both as well. It really lent itself to being a year-long journey.
Yeah.
I felt it so much more. We'll get into it later, but I felt it so much more because it had been such a long road traveled.
Especially when you are in the interrogation and the officer runs down your misdemeanors, and it's basically walking through with this whole, and you're like, oh wow, I forgot about that thing. Wow, I covered so much ground.
Yeah.
That really showed me the scope of what we went through the last year. But there was some really nice moments in this episode.
Yeah, let's go back to the
Regardless
beginning
Yeah,
where we started
so the
off.
very beginning, we're camping on the edge of the Grand Canyon. And it's funny, like for me, like I am hyper slow
Yeah.
on everything. Because like I think somebody says like, oh yeah, you could get through this episode in like 2 hours. I'm like, what? That's more like 5 hours in this episode. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so I start and so I kind of sometimes like sort of psych myself out in ways because like I'm going through his journal before we even leave that cliff, and like, oh, away sounds like a cool place. It's weird that they didn't like show that part of the journey. Like,
You haven't been there yet, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that was a good moment too. The little like scorpion. He's
Oh yeah, did you stop him from hurting the scorpion?
Totally.
Oh
Yeah.
absolutely.
But I guess depending on how things have been going, he will listen or not listen to you
Oh,
with a lot of those small choices. So he can just like totally shrug you off and kill it if
that's
he's,
great.
darker.
I thought after what we went through in the last episode, it was pretty poetic to wake up to like a new day, a new sunrise. And I felt like our relationship is better than it's ever been in terms of my patience with Daniel and him being responsive and listening to me. It felt better than ever.
Yeah, there's that moment
Like-
when you're telling him the story, and then he's like, "Well, can I
Yeah.
get in on it? Like,
Yeah.
let me author a little bit of the story."
Oh, yeah.
It's my story too.
Yeah, I was like, "Heck yes!"
Yeah.
dude."
Yeah, I definitely said, sure, yeah. And it was great. Yeah, and I felt like the options that they were giving me to say to Daniel were different.
Yeah, well, and they
I had
also
grown.
they're great because they feel like they make sense. Because like that's one of the things with any kind of adventure games or RPGs that like it kind of gets on my nerves is like when you look at the options and like I wouldn't want to say any of these things, or you say something and they say something different than what you thought you were going to say.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have those kind of moments, which is nice to be able to like really like choose what you're going to do rather than like, oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was
Absolutely.
a new sense of understanding and trust, letting him help you pack stuff up, letting him be responsible with his power in
Yeah.
a way where you're showing him that you do trust him to be autonomous in that way.
Yeah, I think we've got to a point at this episode where there's a real freedom
Yeah.
to that, and it's partly because of the nature of away in the camp and people there not caring enough to want to rat you out or anything.
Or judging or
Yeah, and I also think it's because like they've been through so much that it's like okay, like now at this point Daniel's been through so much that he understands why he needs to keep it under wraps when he needs to, and like we've learned these lessons now, so we don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good walk. You walk back to like the village or whatever. I really like that moment. You can like pause and look out at the sunset. I think there was like a drawing too.
Yeah, there's a drawing moment there. There's also like a little collectible that is like on an opposite cliff.
Oh, yeah. It was really far. Did you get that
Oh
one?
no, I don't think I.
It's like a little
got that.
sparkly thing. So,
I don't think so.
So like there were two paths, like one that kind of went out and one that went down back to the town. And if you went out, then there's like an opposite cliff where there's a sparkle.
Oh, I stopped and just like looked at the sunrise for
So
a while,
pretty.
Yeah.
and then I was like, I need to. I was just so hasty because I wanted to know what was
I
gonna
know.
happen.
Me too. I was like, what is going to happen?
Yeah, I was so into
Totally.
to seeing. Him being scared of Lisbeth kind of got to me because I was like, I do not want him to, be traumatized from
Really?
this going forward.
Really good call. I'm glad you brought this up because playing episode 4, I really liked episode 4, but anytime you're dealing with cults, it has for me, it has a tendency to be somewhat cartoony.
Yeah.
You know? Just the idea of cults and stuff. I know it's like serious, really intense shit, but like for the game, it just didn't have enough time to build her character up, like Lisbeth. So I personally never really felt any connection to her or intimidation or fear or anything, but because he brought it up and how scared he was, I think it retroactively kind of made that episode stronger for me.
Yeah, it kind of leaves you with the impression of, oh, I didn't see all the, mental and emotional trauma he went through.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's still mentioning it, because when I started the episode, I sort of imagined it to be this like, oh, it's that's in
done.
that episode is done, and now we're moving forward. But that is gonna stay with him,
Yeah.
with Daniel.
But kind of speaking to that, like when you get back to Karen's trailer, it's such a callback to everybody.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the place being full of notes and emails and
Did you read Brody's big one?
Brody's big one was crazy.
Yeah, about his family and dying and oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that was
And him having that kind of self-awareness to say, when he's talking, I was talking about his I think his family's money and how he would have squandered it. He's like, yeah, I probably would have made the
Yeah.
wrong decision. And I wish we had just seen him again.
I know. They brought him up twice, though. I was
Right.
like, maybe that's a little too much, Brody. I'm like, you saw this guy a year ago.
Yeah.
And, at one time, Sean and at one time, Daniel, both different times, are like, yeah, Brody. Wonder what he would have been thinking about this.
Yeah,
It's
it feels like you're seeding it to bring it back, and when you don't, it's a little bit of a letdown.
yeah.
Yeah, why are these two young boys so infatuated with this man they met on the road?
I mean, I think we brought him up every
Yeah,
time,
we
though,
love him.
so,
Yeah,
he
we
has an
have.
impact.
I
Yeah.
love him.
He
Life
definitely
is
had an
Strange
impact.
3. Brody's journey.
The other thing I thought was really cool though with looking through all that stuff is just how so many things were handwritten.
Yeah.
And you get all the handwriting from different characters and just that kind of thing blows my mind because somebody did that.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote that out by hand and tried to capture somebody's handwriting style as a character.
And it's interesting, too, that I never thought about this until now, you saying that it's all handwritten. But when you think about, we do everything digitally. I do not, maybe if I'm traveling, I'll send someone a postcard, but I don't really write letters. But these are all people that are kind of alternate. They're off the grid.
Yeah.
Cassidy writing to you from Colorado. She's, working on a weed farm. She's not in the establishment. She's off the grid.
Yeah.
What's his name? Is it Jacob that
Yeah.
And Penny.
was
Love Penny.
in the
Jacob and
Jacob
Sarah.
and his sister.
Yeah.
He's writing you a letter, but he also lived in a religious cult.
Yeah.
So he's probably not, he probably didn't have access where he was just hopping on and also your mom writing to her parents. I feel like older people generally more inclined to write. It all felt didn't feel contrived. It all felt normal to who these people were in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember last?
But then Brody, you saw the online blog,
blog,
and then Lila's pictures and stuff, and so
Yeah.
it's just
Makes
it's
sense.
interesting. It's all very tied to who they are.
Remember last episode? I didn't give them the money. Him and his sister.
Yeah.
Oh,
I felt
no, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. It was my biggest regret of this whole playthrough.
Oh, I'm really curious to know then.
It wasn't bad, thankfully. But it's kind of terrible. He was like, yeah, I had to dip into my all my savings to like do something. And I felt
Okay, well, he has
Well, at
savings.
least, yeah,
he has
good
I don't know where he got
But if-
savings. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
but-
we didn't have savings. That was our savings.
Yeah. It felt horrible though. Basically,
no.
he was like, "Yeah, he spent all my money."
that's
Oh,
funny because
it-
he like literally like thanks you for the money.
Yeah, in the letter, he thanks you for the money. He says he was able to, pay a month's rent with it and get them a nice place. But now that I know he has savings, I don't feel as bad.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a funny out that the developers gave you for.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder if they put that in specifically for
Yeah.
you.
Didn't feel as guilty as I should
my
have.
gosh. Can I say it's a stupid thing, but it distracted me a little bit. I played with the subtitles on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
I usually do.
Every time they
it's
say
standard.
Joanne, it's spelled Joan.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I just...
I'm a terrible speller, so
Okay,
I wouldn't pick
so-
these things
I wonder
up.
if I just, in my mind, called her Joan and didn't even,
Yeah,
listen
they
to
said
them calling her
Joanne,
Joanne.
like, consistently every time, and it was spelled more like Joan. And
Huh.
like, what? Okay.
That's
Supposed to
weird.
try to block that out. It's not important.
Yeah, I didn't catch it. Didn't catch it, bud. So before we get to one resident of this community that I'm sure we're going to talk about for a very long time, the other residents, the couple, the two,
Oh, the gay couple?
they were
Yeah,
awesome.
They were great.
Yeah.
I have
You got his
pictures.
names?
Yeah, what were their names? It was...
It's you said goodbye. You said farewell to Arthur and Stanley.
Okay.
Arthur and Stanley, and then Joan. But wait, Joanne or Joan?
They always say Joanne, but it was spelled Joan.
Yeah, and here on the choices it says Joan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not important, Bloodworth.
Yeah, the couple is great
Arthur and
just
Stanley,
in
yeah.
terms of offering some, really wholesome perspective.
Yes, I love the perspective of
Everyone there.
people coming through and leaving.
Yeah.
They kind of are. It's weird because they're here in this isolated community, kind of off the grid, but they're almost kind of a window into a larger world.
Yeah, because you get a sense that there are other people there during different times of the year. Like when you try to wander up to other parts that that don't have anybody in them, and it's like, oh, this time of year there's nobody there. And I think there are other couple other characters that are mentioned that you never meet. But yeah, those guys are interesting because it's you can tell because they are there because they want to be because of societal pressures more than anything else. They look like they're kind of well off compared to everybody else you've ever met in this series.
Their trailer's pretty nice.
Yeah, their trailer is
It's like a house, basically.
double wide. Yeah.
Yeah, they feel more like they're just retiring somewhere
Yeah.
quiet. And,
Totally.
But yeah, everyone there seems like they're not looking for an escape, but they're just looking for some respite because life just kind of has them worn out.
Yeah, it's like a reset button. I think it was
Yeah.
sort of described in a way similar to that, to where you're not really necessarily going to be here forever.
Yeah.
You're just getting away.
Yeah, you're getting away. Figure out who you are, what you're going to do next, and that's exactly what the boys are doing. They're taking that breather and figuring out what they're going to do.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how just the scope of life, right? Because in episode 3, when you're on the weed farm, those kids are kind of living off the grid, Cassie and Penny
Oh, yeah.
and all them, and they're teenagers or so. And then now we have old retired people doing the exact same thing, just in another place. So I thought that comparison was really interesting, and it just made me think of all of it.
Yeah. If anyone, I think Joanne is probably the most she's comfortable here.
Yeah, she's at home.
She's probably not going anywhere.
Yeah, just
Making these sculptures out of
Building art.
old cars just laid out there, and all right.
yeah,
Yeah, helping her with her sculpture was cool.
yeah.
I like that little moment.
That was cool.
Did you do it the way that she did it, or did you?
I
do
missed
it
a
Daniel?
piece, dude. I did it wrong. Mine was botched.
Oh,
Mine was so botched.
I did it like the little tiny one.
yeah, I did it like the tiny one, but there's that option where Daniel's like, well, put the tentacles on top.
Oh, did you do it, dude?
No, I didn't, but I was curious, and it ended up being one of the things that they tracked.
Yeah, it was. right here. It's you managed to set up Jones' sculpture. Daniel managed to set up Jones' sculpture with your help. 80%.
But
Then
again,
the other one is Daniel managed to set up the sculpture like he wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, that's where you basically you put the head in the middle.
Got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Got it. So
David. So everyone.
another
got David?
resident was
well,
there.
hang on. Let's hang on a second. We haven't talked about the treasure hunt with Daniel.
Yes. This is awesome.
I'm just trying to. I know
trying
you
to,
want
like,
to talk about it
extend
so
it.
bad. Yeah,
The treasure hunt was really fun.
it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool little mini game.
It was pretty simple. Did you get
Yeah.
stuck on anything or?
There was one part where I kind of went back and forth a couple of places, and I was like, I'm kind of going the wrong way.
I had walked around enough before that to where I was like, oh, okay, got it.
These places, yeah.
But yeah, calling he's called them like wings or something. That threw me off a little bit.
Was that for the windmill?
Yeah, for the windmill.
Yeah.
But once I started like finding the hot cold things, like okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just use his hot cold.
Yeah.
Pretty much to detect.
Brute
everything.
force it. Shout out to not only every episode feeling so different, but them finding creative ways to shake up the gameplay.
Yeah.
So, that's why I like that treasure hunt. So, a man is in this community with a beard, and I was like, this guy's chill.
Yeah.
I don't know who this is.
I
Whatever.
I sleuthed him out before I even saw
had
him. Dude.
no clue.
I saw that saying David's trailer, and I'm like, no freaking way. And I'm like looking through like trying to get a shot through the window to where you could see that hunting picture.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's him, isn't it? It's David.
Yeah. I found out when I saw the photo on the fridge.
Oh, I mean, I didn't notice the photo in the fridge, but then when they showed up, and he went with the groceries, I was like, oh my god! Like I mean, my note.
You're
my
gonna
note here
have a
goes.
blast.
Mom and guy return from shopping. David? Question mark! Exclamation mark! Question mark! Exclamation mark! And yeah, David. It's just a complete 180.
Our Davids are gonna be way different, right? Did you?
Yeah, I was curious that you even had him.
I saved Chloe,
Yeah, you saved Chloe,
not Arcadia.
and I saved
So how
Arcadia.
did he get out?
That doesn't really get answered. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
Yeah.
His
What is
wife's-
his explanation for splitting up?
I don't think he gives one. Does he? Because he just talks about his wife is dead,
Oh.
and he says he's got. When I first met him, he said he had an angry stepdaughter, and I thought, oh no, do they still have a bad relationship? But I don't know what you guys.
So for
had.
us, like, yeah, Chloe was dead, and it was hard on the marriage.
So
and they
brutal.
Split up.
Destroy. I cried like 7 times during this friggin'
Oh,
episode.
you guys would have loved.
Yeah.
You guys would have
I
loved
watched the
what
video
I had.
immediately. I watched it immediately. I watched it.
So
But
Yeah.
what was interesting is
That's the one thing I was
there's
like, I
a
need to see
point a
this.
little bit later when you're about to go where like, he gets a call from her. So they're like still
Yeah.
friends.
yeah, he.
But so did you get a call from Chloe?
He gets a call from Chloe.
Oh.
Max, you're it's
In
Chloe, yeah.
mine.
Chloe, yeah.
So it's really sweet because his wife is dead and he's obviously very heartbroken by that. But then he talks about how, his daughter and her friend, they just ran. Like they ran. This is kind of how he relates with Sean is he says they ran, they didn't look back. He says, but eventually we found our peace. And that peace kept growing and now we have a pretty great relationship, and they're in New York now, Max and Chloe.
That's
Wow.
right. That's right.
And then he gets a call, and he's like, "Sorry, I have to take this." And then he's like, "Hi, sweetie." He
so
calls her
jolly.
sweetie on the phone, and
God.
then I was such a creeper because he's like
Peeking in the window? Yeah.
yeah, he's in the trailer, and I'm just standing outside, just staring at him.
Who are you talking to?
Yeah, I just stared at him for the whole phone call, and he's talking with her, and it's like it was just so nice. It was so nice. I was so happy that,
It's those damn video game choices. It's like, obviously, I want Chloe to live. Obviously, it's so much better.
But
But shit, that's a lot of people to sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, the thing that gets me curious is like, for us, we have no idea where Max is.
Yeah.
We have no idea whether Max
Yeah,
is
it's
just
true.
like power is off limits.
Mad
not
Max
touching
Fury
that
Road,
again,
dude. Yeah, she's.
I do play them as I try to with my own moral compass, but then I also try to play them a little bit this is a video game, so I can do things that I wouldn't decide to do in
Fireworks.
life. Get the fireworks.
Give us fireworks.
Get the fireworks. And so I was so happy to see that with them. And
so jealous.
and get that because Chloe obviously like, it's really sad that she's lost her dad and she's lost her mom, but then there's this figure that emerges in her life, and she has Max. But I
think on our end, like David, similarly, like he's changed and he's grown.
Somber.
Like he was like, I was such a jerk. I didn't know how to be a dad.
Yeah.
And
Living with regret, trying to do the right thing now.
And it's great because we didn't have the background on David from the first game, so we know him as this very kind of militaristic, anal, kind of hypersensitive to crime, and like he's surveilling everyone, and he's just a total narc and like weird, but then Sean gets this David who's super chill.
Right.
He's got long hair, he got a beard, he's
hippie.
He's a hippie in the desert, and then you're listening to Sean's inner monologue, and he's saying, "Oh, he's a pretty cool guy. Wow, he's a rebel." At one point he calls him a rebel because he's got the police scanner. He doesn't realize that David was surveilling everyone so he could narc them out to the police.
Right.
He thinks he's doing it to subvert the police.
So good.
There was a moment where like you hear about like Nathan Prescott.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Courts or something. Like the case is still going on.
Oh.
Like
Dude, I missed that.
I missed that too.
I missed it, Blood.
Yeah,
but
there's a little bit there, like because you can find like Nathan's photo.
Yeah.
And Sean is like, why has he got this? This is weird.
Yeah.
But then like I don't know if he calls him by name, but he kind of does talk like, like there's this litigation or whatever still going on.
I just like that, like perspective and context are everything.
Yeah.
And
it's just such an elegant way to check in to Life is Strange 1 and to make the world again seem just so broad and bigger. And it doesn't feel shoehorned in. It doesn't feel forced. It's just so natural. And then it got me thinking at the end, too, because, I'm thinking about Max. I'm thinking about the entire journey of Life is Strange 1 is about, like, changing your mistakes or changing one moment, changing a moment, and, living with the repercussions and the consequences. And I remember the final choice of this episode, sitting in the car, surrender or drive forward. I just kept thinking, like, Max isn't here. Like, we cannot rewind time. We cannot undo anything. We are in this mess in this moment.
Yeah.
Because, like, part of me was like Deus Ex Max. Like, her coming down. Pew, you're part of the resistance now. Like, Life is Strange 3 superheroes. And it's like, nope, that's not happening. This is real deal.
Yeah. I would say the one thing that kind of did take me out of the great David moment was, and I understand that it's a product of the strike and stuff, but it's a different voice actor.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, I mean,
it's always a bummer
when it's the same actor that comes back and does it. It's a bigger thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was funny is, when we were talking to David about that, I thought they were having me make the choice then, because they do bring that up. It's like, are you gonna go or are you gonna turn yourself in? And David's talking you through that.
That's what I thought too.
And so like I actually had a longer time telling him what I was going to do, because I'm like, oh crap, I'm setting this up now.
This is great. It was a great moment where he just says to you, the truth is on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that to me was a really tough thing to digest, because yes, that should be the case, but you're in such a fantastic situation and you've already burnt a lot of bridges along the way that it's tough to think like, oh yeah, I'll just tell them that my brother had some telekinetic powers and
well, in interrogation I basically did, but he's still.
Oh yeah, I said we're supervillains.
Yeah. Like supervillains, man.
Before that, saying goodbye to everyone. Cool moment, saying goodbye. But Karen, saying goodbye to Karen.
Yeah.
How did you both go about this whole thing? Because my place was, this is too quick to repair the damage that has been done. I'm open to reconciling with Karen in the long term, but over the course of an episode and a half, I'm not ready to make these all is forgiven, I love you, let's hug it out moments. Did you two feel the same way, or were you
I mean, I think I, in terms of like where I'm at, I kind of felt the same way. But when it came to writing the letter, I was probably as gracious as you could possibly be with the options they gave. But it is interesting that like at the end with the stats, there's like 4 different versions of that letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think though that there was a little bit of they had kind of connected in this time between that we didn't get to see in a better way. You know, like I feel like
That couple months there or whatever.
Sean's like had like de-escalated at this point in the story.
Yeah.
And I think I was sort of feeding off of that to where like my resistance
Fair.
to Karen had dropped because his resistance had dropped.
Yeah.
Fair.
I got that too. And I also felt like Sean, like I said, his relationship with Daniel was getting better. And it just seemed like Sean was growing up and seeing and learning those different perspectives in life, and that not every person fits into some kind of cookie cutter mold and people aren't perfect, but they are trying their best. And the more people that I think Sean meets along the way, and then especially coming to Away and seeing all these people from different backgrounds that are having a really hard time, and everyone's just trying to make it, I did feel like I could get some peace with her. And I also approached it from the perspective of I might never see her again.
Got it.
I might never see her again, and it's just a good parting memory to have. So I did in the letter call her mom, and I did hug her
Got it.
when I said goodbye to her.
I love this. I love this level of nuance.
Yeah.
Because I was guarded, but I still hugged it out with her.
Yeah.
You know, didn't call her mom. Gave her a hug
get the
though.
mom!
You don't get the mom, but you get a hug and a nice letter. So I just love this level
Yeah.
of control and nuance.
I don't want to derail this, but in David's trailer, I neglected to mention this, the framed diner menu. You pick this up?
Oh.
You see this?
Damn it! I just
He's-
saw the photo and I was just so distracted by the damn
Hey,
photo of
David!
Chloe.
He's got on the wall of his trailer, he's got the diner that the mom worked at in Arcadia
Oh,
Bay.
maybe he doesn't in ours.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
but,
maybe not. I didn't see this.
Well, he's maybe because they separated, he doesn't have it.
Right.
But maybe because she died, she was still at work. Well, anyway, in mine, he's got the menu framed, and then Sean looks at, when you interact with it, Sean looks at it and he says something like, "Huh, must have been a pretty great diner." Like not knowing the
gosh.
emotional resonance of that existing and what it means to David, and that's to me is the human condition and
Right.
perspective is. And then Sean's relationship with his mother, where he goes, "You're a bad mom because you left us," because he doesn't know this person's inner emotional workings, and he doesn't realize it's like you don't know what a menu can mean to a person. Yeah. Like it's all perspective
yes. Simple menu for that.
It's so great, and that would be so great if it's in mine, but not in yours because they separated.
Yeah, I feel like that's the case. Because when I went in there,
I was looking at it.
I was like, this is David's trailer. I'm snooping.
Scope.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I found that that Nathan Prescott photo.
Yeah. So this episode, there's a lot going on because we haven't even talked about the giant moment halfway through. Mm-hmm. Tear that wall down.
Tear that wall down.
Tear that
It
wall
was so
down.
funny because I wasn't sure what they were gonna do because I'm like, okay, like I'm trying to like work out like the limitations of Daniel's powers. I'm like, okay, can we make this truck fly? Like, how is this going to work? Yeah. Especially when you look in the back.
That would have been amazing.
And then you see the water and everything. It's like, okay, we got to get this truck through here. So we're not flying over the wall. We got to get the truck over. And then and then he starts like ripping it open.
Yeah, this was like Darth Vader levels of power on display.
Like Force Unleashed, dude.
Yeah. Just everything that this represents, just tearing this wall down, that spoke to me. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
And I think like how they play on it too, they think you're crossing over into America. They're racially profiling you.
I was stressed just how far away they parked. Right then,
Yeah.
it was like,
Me too.
What are we doing?
Me too.
Totally. And just how stupid the idea of it all is, like, without getting into, like, the
Politics.
micro politics of, like, wages and all like that stuff, like, cool, whatever. But, like, the idea of it's right there. Like, why should that little piece of there be safety and not here? Like, I know borders, but...
And there's the thing that Sean says, I think, where he looks when Daniel opens it and he looks over and he's like, looks the same as over here.
Exactly, yeah. It just felt so silly in the end, I guess. I just had a feeling of like,
why?
Why? Yeah, why? I was questioning why, you know? And again, it was right there. Oh, and it's infuriating.
Yeah, I didn't get both of their names. The father and daughter that were policing the border, Madison was her name, but I didn't get his name.
Yeah,
Maniacs.
Yeah, it is interesting because, what did you say? Somebody was like a cartoon character earlier. I did feel a little bit like that with
Colts.
Oh yeah,
Colts can feel a little...
I got a little bit of that sense with these two because
a little on the nose
didn't
with
feel
them.
as much like there is as much depth in the characters as you would come to expect
Totally.
from most of these characters.
I will say I didn't really enjoy the NPCs that were in this character or in this episode as much as I have previous characters, like past characters. I didn't like, especially like Joanne, I didn't connect with as much. I didn't feel
Yeah.
It's just,
It's weird for me. Again, I wasn't as attached, but I'm always down. I feel how do I put this in words? Basically, I'm trying to say I love things that teach us empathy.
yeah.
And obviously that's what Life is Strange is all about. So if some things are a little stereotypical and on the nose,
To hammer it home.
yeah,
Yeah.
like hammering it home, I guess I'm okay with it if I think in the end the message is
Yeah.
coming from the right place.
What was the name of the guy at the rest stop that kidnapped us? That was
Yeah,
the bear
that-
carving.
Oh.
Because he was also kind of
Yeah.
evil incarnate, where he was like the most racist. Like they do really hammer
Yeah.
it home in terms of like these people are pretty extreme, but
Yeah, and it is like slightly unfair to give us so much depth and nuance and then just kind of blanketly stereotype, you know?
yeah.
But I mean, they were stereotyping back.
Right.
But I guess it's just a lack of time with the supporting cast. But I am interested in to see if you let them out, what happens? How do they respond?
did you not let them
no,
out of
I didn't let
jail?
them out.
I was like, everyone get out of
Oh,
here.
I let everyone out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Even them?
Yeah.
What did they say?
They were like,
They were like, why?
why did you do this?
And then-
and I responded like, because we're not a-holes.
Yeah. Sean was like, we're not assholes. And,
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like one of those things of,
Taught them a lesson.
yeah, it's
Positive-
like you
positive
pay
lesson.
them back with kindness, and then like
Yeah.
then what are they? You just deflated. You just took away all their power.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was panicked.
Because yeah, I mean they also
and I thought they were going to kill us if I let them out.
they also saw his powers, so they were like, we got bigger problems than sure. But
Yeah. They didn't quite catch it when it happened on the wall.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like, did you not just see what?
They said it was like dynamite or like they blew it up.
Sure,
yeah.
yeah.
oh, well, we kind of passed it a little bit. There was a really nice moment of letting Daniel steer the car. Just a nice,
With his powers, right?
yeah, that was just a nice moment. But yeah, the couple and the Mexican couple in the jail cell that was coming over to have a better life for their unborn child.
And it's like cliche, but it's
cliche,
That
it
happens.
is.
Like that's
Yeah.
real.
It's I guess wanting your kids to have a better life is a
I
very
thought it was-
common motivation.
I thought it was cool that he was able to relate the story of his dad
Yeah.
to them, and like, yeah, this is what my dad did for us and everything.
Yeah, he wasn't a
Touching.
But
criminal.
on the flip side, they're like, like this isn't gonna work out. That like Mexico isn't the place to go and like
Yeah.
live your dream life.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard. Like that's why your dad left. That's why we're leaving. Like, and so I think they provided this opportunity for this reality check of like, is this really the choice that you want to make? Even though the whole game has been leading up to this, like, is this the right thing for Daniel?
And that's clear. When that was happening, that conversation was happening, I was like, oh, this is definitely the developer trying to get us to second guess our choice for Daniel, because we have only been looking out for him, and now for someone to tell us that, oh, we'd be possibly endangering him by taking him to where we thought was a safe haven. I'm like, oh, this is definitely.
And in the car on the way to Daniel is like, I don't even know Spanish.
Yeah.
You know, and like you're doing everything you can to reassure him.
My God.
But as you're doing that, it's like putting these seeds of doubt in your mind. Like this, we haven't really thought this all the way through. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love blowing up the wall. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was great tearing that down.
Blast that thing.
But I think
Magneto.
Yeah, dude, Magneto.
But
God,
part of
I
it
can
too
think in
is
Star Wars. Magneto. It's Magneto.
Charles, we didn't take down the wall, Charles.
I think part of it too in that moment though is you're really pushing Daniel. Really pushing him to the limits with what he can do. So I think he passes out more from that than from getting shot.
Yeah.
Like I think he's just already about to fall over, and then he gets shot, and then it's just enough to like he's out.
Yeah.
You know, and
Sniped.
he's not, because he's not that. You know, they said he's just grazed.
Yeah.
So why did he fall over? He fell over because he just tore a wall down.
Totally.
I really liked the detainment officer that interrogated us. I thought that actor was great, and
Yes.
that character, because he was not a stereotype. Actually, he was not what you expect. You expected a real like hard ass, but then he was pretty compassionate.
He cared about.
Well, even when he comes up to them,
Daniel.
he's like, "What the heck is going on?" here?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we
Yeah.
got a deal, and you don't got to deal with me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
When he was interrogating Sean and he asks him if he wants some coffee, it doesn't feel like a ploy to. You know, it just feels like a human extending kindness to another human, and just,
he's upholding the law, but like he's really like looking out for you, you know. And even though like your rap sheet is all this stuff on it, like he's like if you know cooperate, like Daniel's gonna be fine. You know, he'll go back to your grandparents, like you know, but you've got to account for what you've done. And at this point, you've actually done some stuff. You know, you've stolen a car. You know, allegedly burned down a church, although that really wasn't your fault at all. But you know, there's like no good way of proving.
When he said, the officer says that Karen's getting booked on the church. Did you guys? I was like, no, it wasn't her. You know, it wasn't her. Did you guys just let her take it?
I think I said the same thing.
Same.
I
was like,
tried-
she didn't do it.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of frustration in that you never really do get to defend yourself. Like you never really do get to say your side of the story at any point. Like you're always just sort of from episode 1, like assumed to be guilty.
Yeah. You only ever get to the point of saying, no, you don't understand until someone quiets you, and then you can't.
Part of me was thinking, and this again never happened, but part of me was thinking that the FBI agent was gonna know something.
Amanda Waller, dude, Suicide Squad. I was like, yo, she's putting together a task force. She's
got
looking
Max.
She's looking for the gifted.
Yeah, she's gonna come in here and she's gonna know what's up. She's seen like 5 or 6 other people that have had this, and she's like, hey, look, we can work this out. You've got to be honest with me. But we never got to that moment.
No,
it doesn't look like that moment. It really happens.
Her desperation on the mic, though, to get us to stand down.
You can hear it.
Final nail in the coffin of me surrendering. Like, I was going to surrender 100%. Obviously, I wanted, you know, coming so far, I didn't want to give up right there. But her just like, don't do this, please.
Her voice is wavering.
Yeah. I was like, holy crap, the stakes right now are too high.
Because she knows what it means if you don't comply.
Yeah.
But, so
I surrendered.
You surrendered.
I surrendered.
I went for that border, baby. I said, no,
Yes.
I heard her voice quivering, and I said, no. And Daniel was pleading with me.
Oh no.
Daniel, because I was
Yeah, because that's interesting. Because the choices were like
Oh my God.
on either end. Daniel could refuse based on how you've taught him.
7
Yeah,
endings.
it's 7 endings. So I said, no, Daniel, we're going for that border. And
On green, I'm going for it.
it was a video game, and I was like, I just want to see
You
it.
wanna get there.
I want to. I've made some really normal choices. I want to do it. And then Daniel, as we're driving, he's like, Sean, no. And then he's like, I'll get you across, but I'm not coming with you. And then he like turns cop cars over,
Oh my God.
throws people out of the way. We cross that border. Daniel jumps and rolls out of the car.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like an action star.
What?
He jumps and rolls. I drive off over the border, and then he gets like cuffed by the FBI agent, and there's just like smoldering cop car on one side,
Wow.
and
Hard.
yeah, it was
So
hard.
dark.
So did they count that as him refusing when you got to the check boxes?
So my ending was that
God.
Daniel went to live with the grandparents, but I think, and then it was just a series of photos that you see, and so it was like Daniel with the grandparents at Christmas, Daniel playing with Chris in the treehouse, and then Daniel in the grandparents' home, and it's winter. Was it winter? Oh, I think it was winter. And the grandfather's outside, and then he's like kind of looking out the window, and he's got a like house arrest bracelet on his ankle.
Oh, wow.
But he's like 15 or something now, right?
Older, yeah.
And I'm like, has he just been confined to this? Like, has he not been able to leave the house for however long,
Dude.
or whatever? And he opens mail, and it's mail from Sean, and Sean's with what's her name?
Lila?
No,
Cassidy.
Cassidy.
Oh.
He's with Cassidy, and they're in Mexico. And they send like a picture. It's like them, happy, smiling selfie. And that was kind of it.
Crazy.
Crazy ending.
So for us, or at least for me, I don't know if you might got something slightly different. So
I think we're probably the same.
yeah, I think we're probably the same. So yeah, we said we're surrender, and like I hugged Daniel, and like it said like this isn't who we are. We're not criminals. And then they arrest Sean, and then we get like a similar like montage of photos, but like some of them were like Daniel graduating, and like Daniel like working in
Daniel
a coffee
friends.
shop, and then
Dude, I'm gonna cry right now thinking about
and
it.
then it's like 15 years later, Daniel grown up and Karen waiting outside the prison.
For
Yeah.
me, Lila was there as well.
Oh, Lila was there.
Because I called her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you called her in the first
In the
episode.
first,
Wow.
At least in the
Second?
first one, yeah. She was there.
And then,
Wow.
yeah, and then Sean comes out, and then
Dude, this part.
they go back to the camping spot, like under the stones.
All the spots in episode 1, the forest, and it's this epic ass montage of them trying to reconnect, but a little distant, retracing their steps through all the spots in the first episode in the woods, dude. It was so amazing. They're under the
Yours is the
stars.
same?
And then he gets in his car. Sean
Well,
does.
but they were by the fire,
Yep.
and like Sean starts to cry a little bit, and then
Yeah.
like Daniel like holds him
Yeah.
and like supports his brother. like,
Yeah.
for the first like real time.
And then as Sean is driving away, he drives away to like go find himself and like, figure things out for a bit. As he drives away, Daniel howls.
Oh, really?
So amazing.
I didn't get that. Mine was just a little bit more subtle. Like Sean went down the road, and then Daniel just kind of like used his power to like open the door.
Howled.
Wow.
Yep. It was amazing.
No.
Dude, and then I cried for a while and then immediately woke my wife up and cried for like 30 more minutes.
Guys,
It's just like, ah.
that sounds beautiful. That's the ending I would have wanted, but I had to go for that border.
Go for broke.
I went that far.
I know of one other ending. I do know of one. I guess if you
yeah.
you go for it and Daniel stays with you, dude, Breaking Bad, you're both like criminals
Yep.
operating a garage. like
Yeah.
criminal empire out of a garage.
Wow.
Don't some thugs like come to like rob you or
I
something? and take them out?
I heard about it. I didn't see this. I didn't watch any of them.
There's another ending
Crazy.
that I didn't have a chance to. I wanted to go and watch the endings, but I didn't have a chance. But I read them all, and I don't remember them all. But there's one where you guys. I think it depends on your morality choices with Daniel, but you drive through, and you get over the border, and then Daniel's like, "Sean, we made it," and then he turns to Sean, and Sean got shot
Dude.
as they were crossing, and Sean gets killed. And so then Daniel just grows up in Mexico alone, and he's like a total like
Magneto.
gang member. He's like, I think he like dyes his hair bleach, but like he's like just a total like gang criminal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was afraid of. That's why I did not cross
Yeah.
that border.
I think you have to make
Too many guns.
I think you have to make some like pretty sordid
Yeah.
choices throughout the entire thing to end up
Yeah.
with that ending. But yeah, like that is the worst possible ending. But because even the one where it's like they grew up and they run a garage in Mexico, I'd kind of be okay.
I'm kind of cool with it. Because, like, if they show up in another game and you have that choice, I'm totally cool with the Diaz brothers being, like, criminal contacts.
I know. I was like,
That's
yeah.
From a video
What's
game
crazy
perspective.
about it though is like, you know, like we had like these dream scenarios of like everyone getting together, but it's like
Yeah.
our endings on both of these are so different that it's like
How-
how
how-
could that even possibly work? Like,
Yeah. How are they even going to do a third game? Yeah. It's like, do
Yeah.
you keep doing different people?
because again, like for us, it's like, does Max use her power at all?
Yeah. And I
Does
think
she
that's...
ever acknowledge it again, like after what happened?
And that's one of the biggest things. It's like how do you even bring back Max Caulfield in a game if players' choices are so different from each other's?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
David worked. It was
Yeah, it worked.
definitely-
It's just enough. It's just enough.
Brody could work.
Yeah.
I feel like Brody can now be that character that pops up in all the Life is Strange because he's just on the road.
Yeah.
So forever.
Well, he kind of isn't now though, but yeah,
Yeah. True.
potentially
Yeah.
after things settle down.
I will say I did really like the mystery element of the first game and building to revealing and you know, exposing what that mystery was at the end of the first one. Then we didn't have that element. This one was just more of a suspense. Like, will they get there? How will it play out? But I did like that there were story pieces coming together in that last one, and
Yeah.
the big climactic, you know, moment of which if you haven't played the first season, it was weird that you're playing this one, but there's a, you know,
Some big stuff.
there's some big stuff at the end of that one. I do think I kind of liked also with the first game, you didn't really know how big that ending was going to be. You couldn't have imagined the consequences
Yeah.
and what choice you would have to make. So it was very fresh. And like this one, I think we all knew like we're going to have to
Yeah.
make a big choice. But with that, we didn't know. So I do think that the ending of
Well-
the first one maybe was a little bit juicier for me.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely didn't have that same level.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, there's some cops that could maybe get hurt, but it's not the same as like wiping out the whole. You know, like there's not even anything that would be close
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
equivalent to that in this.
This felt like I'm making huge decisions.
Because like you'd have to like
yeah.
wipe out Away and the
Yeah.
weed kids and the grandparents
Yeah.
and like there's no everyone's so disconnected. Like there's not
Yeah.
a way to do that.
The scale of this one was feeling that I'm
Yeah.
going to make this decision that's going to impact the lives of these people for the rest of their lives. Whereas the first one felt more just like a choosing between the good of the many versus the good of one. And
Yeah.
but it is very thematically they're two very different stories. And I do think like for the third game, it's maybe not as much about the characters as what that next theme is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously like 2 more just because of everything that's happened. You know, I started 2 when my brother was alive, and now I'm ending it, and he's no longer alive. So just the brotherly, like booting this up, the finale, and just having them sitting there, looking out at the sun was like just like that moment was a gift.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. I was like, thank you for letting me play this game, letting me experience these emotions. It was hard as hell sometimes, but in the end, it was all worth it. It's amazing. Loved it. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I love this
10
game.
out of 10.
I think, and I've been going back and replaying like Before the Storm and stuff. And I'm not really ready to say like what my favorite Life is Strange is, but I will say that this one to me was easily the most mature and the best written. You know, I think of Before the Storm and 1, and they're a little inconsistent, but they still have so many authentic gut punch moments.
Yeah.
But I think in just 2, it was a little more
A lot of
consistent.
growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, like, the first game is a little bit more generally appealing in that there's that sort of that sci-fi sense of the time travel, right? Like, you know, all of these little twists that happen because, like, oh, well, if you change this, well, then these are the repercussions. And if you change this, these are the repercussions. And, you know, and because you're not dealing with that element, you don't get that sense anymore. But you have this other, like, way more subtle sense of just trying to be a big brother. And just trying to, like, protect and teach Daniel, like, what to do. And, yeah, like, all of these endings vary based on everything that you've built up in Daniel. You know, there's, like, some hidden good versus evil meter inside of Daniel. You know, that is
I think of that
based
first,
on everything you've done.
That first lockbox in the forest, the very first thing in the game, you can bust it open, and there's no money inside. But that little things like that
Right.
contribute probably to the meter of him respecting you or having criminal tendencies.
Yeah, or his own moral compass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Don't Nod, for
Yeah.
making this beautiful game.
Such worthwhile games.
Yeah. Extremely relevant right now, too,
Yeah.
in a smart, empathetic way. It's not in your face. There are some stereotypes here and there,
Yeah.
but it's not in your face, shoving it down your throat. I think the game is
Yeah, I
nuanced,
mean, I was-
mature, and very relevant and timely right now. And I feel like, honestly, like, I don't say this that often, but I feel like Life is Strange 2 is a game I wish everyone would play. Just because it's like good movies, you know? It's like empathy.
Yeah.
Just play this game, be a better person.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking with my wife about that a little bit. I think before even it started 5, but it's like it's one of those things to where it's like even when you can kind of see the perspective or whatever angle like it might be trying to go in a direction, it's far more about allowing you to kind of like open up these conversations and like discuss these conversations, think about like where different characters stand in these situations rather than just saying, this is bad. Doesn't everyone agree this is bad? Like, you know, if you don't agree, you're bad too. You know, it's
Totally.
way more
So
about
much-
like really like think about like, you know, what it's like for each of these individuals in these situations.
Yeah, like I've said nuance 10 times, but I really feel like that's the best way to describe it.
Texture.
You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, just I was able to RP in a Life is Strange game as well as I RP in D&D. I mean, obviously not that extreme, but like the level of RP available in this game is really, really, really well done and should be commended.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, here.
Here, here.
Here to that.
Are there any other stats we want to
No,
think about,
no
or-
post credits
stat.
scene.
I was
I
really, like,
expected to see
waiting.
Max's boot or something step down.
Max Caulfield will return.
give me something? Yeah, but no teases this time.
No
So
tease.
I was in the percentile that decided to force the roadblock, and Daniel refused.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Overall, I taught Daniel to do his best to follow the rules of society. I was in that bracket too.
Yeah, I took these this morning actually, so the percentages are like pretty
82% of people overall got closer to Karen.
okay. Yeah, I was 18%, kept my distance. I did give her that hug though. I wish there was a third
97%
one.
on mine hugged Karen.
Me
Yeah,
too.
give her the hug. 97%.
81% of people didn't ask Daniel to open the vigilante's cell. And 85% didn't hurt the vigilantes, which
40% didn't open the couple's cell.
well, that's weird.
I wonder, didn't want to get him in more trouble. I could see,
Involved
I could see a
maybe, yeah.
percentage of people
Yeah.
taking that route of like, dude, I don't want to get
Or
them
even
in any more trouble.
reveal what Daniel was
Yeah.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting is, again, one of those hidden Daniel meter things. 66% Daniel was concerned about hurting the officer when he comes in to bust you out. Mm-hmm. Like, so, like, the other 33%, like, Daniel's like, whatever. Okay, cop on the ground, who cares?
Mind blowing. Pretty much 50-50. 52% went for the roadblock. Majority. Slight majority.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, it was a really, it shouldn't be a hard decision, right? In real life, I assume you're gonna surrender, but you're talking about those fireworks, Spending a year in a video game
Just want to see.
with one objective.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing. It was bait.
Oh yeah.
They knew.
Oh, yeah.
An entire year, like you're getting to Porto Lobos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right there. Drive through a roadblock. Step on the gas.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely not the decision I would have made in life. So.
The fact that they made it so hard, though, even like in that situation, like it should be a no-brainer, but still, like, you talked about pausing right there for a while. I did the same thing. I had my mind made up and I still paused for 30, 45 seconds. I was like, oh
Right.
my God, what do I do?
Because, you're literally giving up.
Yeah.
Like when you give up in a video game.
All that it was building to.
Yeah.
What now? What now?
I know. What now? What now?
I have nothing now. This was it.
This was it. This made me. I'd already been coming around to episodic delivery of games. Like when a game's episodic, I was like, all right, Walking Dead, I'll do it. And now I'm all in on it.
Well, this is your prep for Final Fantasy VII, because that's going to be the biggest episode.
Oh
that's
my
going to be a
God.
full game in episodic form.
40-hour episode,
Yeah.
and then 3 years later, another
Yeah,
40
so,
hours.
so get ready to enjoy
Yep.
that episode.
Yep. Final Fantasy 7 episode 1. 40 hours.
40 hours. Full game.
So funny. Closing thoughts? Final thoughts? I think
It's so hard because it's like I should we've said it all.
Yep.
But I don't want to stop.
I don't want to stop. That's
I know,
it,
me
though.
too. We're lucky that games like this exist.
We are.
Again, the word I keep harping on is perspective. It's something that I think everyone needs. And the more you can get, the more varied you can get, it's going to make you a better person. And thoughtful pieces of creative media like this help inform that, and I do think help shape you into being a better person.
Totally. 100%. Couldn't agree more. Even after I streamed Before the Storm the other day, just first episode, just messing around. Kind of now that 2's over, I want to just go back and play them all again. When it ended, I had to call my mom. It's just like these games just give me that feeling of like appreciate life, appreciate the little moments, the little things. Don't take things for granted.
Yeah.
Cherish the ones you love. You can never tell them enough how much you love them. Not a lot. Well, with so many indie games nowadays, like I feel like those types of narratives are becoming more common. But a lot of games are about killing.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's nice when a game is about empathizing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for being on this journey.
Thank
for-
you, Elyse
Oh,
Willem.
thank you for having me. I'm like, if you guys got anything else, let's do it.
We
Or
need
in the Blind Forest, or Will and the Wisps. I'm here. It's so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, definitely let us know, what interests you, because we don't get to
Yeah.
talk that
Life
much,
is-
so we don't know
yeah.
what the other thing that Elyse is interested in
We just
is.
want to come here and do Life is Strange fanfic.
Yes.
Let's do it. What is our next chapter? No, totally. Especially with something episodic like this that we could cover
Yeah.
periodically. Like, I'd love to. It's very fun, and it also, like, when I think about our own, it's like our own journey of the year.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I want to.
But, yeah.
I want to read all these. Maybe just
Yeah.
follow
Oh,
on
yeah,
that
they sent us one of these
episode.
comics,
bonus
yeah.
episode.
We could, if you guys wanted to, we could do a book. We could read the graphic novels and do a little book club episode.
Pretty awesome.
If you want to? No pressure.
Sure.
No
but
pressure. I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll pick them up, blood.
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Cool.
That's a no.
Rope him in. Rope him in. We'll get him.
Yeah.
That's like I don't like making decisions on.
I know what you mean. Yeah. It's like, and $100 to the viewer who
We're
like
2 months later, like, where's that thing? Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, sorry.
yeah. No. Oh, how many
We'll try.
are there?
We'll try.
There's
I
just
think there were 5 issues. Is this the whole? Is this the whole thing?
Oh
no,
my
it's one.
gosh.
I don't know if it's
Are they
5
volumes
issues
or
It might be
volumes?
5
Oh,
volumes.
that's too much.
That's a lot.
I was kidding.
That's a
We can do.
Yeah, it should be.
I'm
that
down.
hard.
If you guys do want to do like a book club episode, we reread these.
I mean, look,
Totally down.
just look at these two. Just look at these two. How do you say no to that? How do you say no to that,
How you
Bloodworth?
saying to that, but you can't say no.
All right, we're rambling. Get us out of
Yeah,
here,
I know.
Blood.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Definitely leave your thoughts and your perspectives and your takes on the ending in the comments, and we will see you soon.
Diaz brothers. Always.